Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about material usage and when to use each type of material. So there's wood, brick, and metal, as you guys can see. And today, I'm going to be going over which material to use in like tournaments and scribs and cash cups, and just which material you should use and when you should use it. So this is a question that I get a lot. That has come up. I see it on Reddit. I see it on YouTube. I see it everywhere. Like when should I be using my wood? When should I be using my brick? Why are pros using like brick at this certain time in the game? So today we're gonna break it all down. So this can be split into four different parts. So the first part is actual fighting. So when you're actually like fighting an opponent, I'm talking about mid game fights. Obviously, in early game fights, you're gonna use what you have. I'm talking about like mid game fights when you're both like fully matted out and fully equipped. Which material you should be using. And then I'm going to be talking about which material you should be using when you're basing up, as you guys can see, and then which material you should use endgame tunneling. I'm using like this like ramp tunneling thing as an example because I think it's like probably the best tunnel out right now. And then when you're tarping, when you have height. And I'm going to be explaining each one and why. So first of all, the basics of just normal mid-game fights. When you're in a normal mid-game fight, it might be a build fight of some sort. The best material to use is honestly, it's recommended that you use whatever material your opponent isn't. So for example, if I see my opponent, wrapping up at me in wood, uh, I might say, okay, he's wrapping up at me in wood, I'm going to switch to brick, and I'm going to fight him. And the reason for this is that after your opponent dies, you can go ahead and replenish your mats. So in this scenario, if we both were to use wood, and we were both to fight each other with wood, after I kill him, I've used up a lot of my wood, he's used up a lot of his wood. I'm going to end up with a situation where I maybe have 100 wood and then 500 brick, 500 metal. Whereas if I had used brick, I might have used up all my brick and he used up all his wood. But let's say we were both fully matted, still have all my wood and I'd pick up all his brick to replenish the brick I used. And vice versa for him. So obviously in mid-game fights, it's actually recommended that you use a different material from your opponent. And honestly, guys, I would say that whenever you can, if you're box fighting an opponent, I'd recommend you use hard mats, and by hard mats I mean brick, so brick or metal. And the reason for this is that if you're boxed up in wood, when an opponent is coming down, so let's say I'm just like trying to attack this guy, when I'm coming down, a wood is two pickaxes, whereas if I'm box fighting someone and they box up in metal and they're healing, I have to come down and I have to pickaxe as well 3 times at least before I can take it, and if it becomes fully built, it's going to be 4, and brick is 3, as you guys know. So it's actually recommended that, honestly, guys, you don't really use wood except when you're like walking around the world and going around terrain and stuff. But like, obviously, you need to balance out your mats. So if you see your opponent using wood, it's recommended that you switch to harder mats because it can give you an advantage later on, like if you get hit for a lot and you need a heal. So that's pretty much it for fighting. Just a quick recap there. Use mats that your opponent isn't using so you can replenish your mats after the fight. And I do recommend that you use hard mats whenever possible. And now let's move on to basing. So when you're basing up, as you guys see, I built 3 mock bases right here. So wood, brick, and metal. As you guys can see, right now, just like off the top of your head, which base would you most likely attack if you were a W keyer? Well, if you're a smart W keyer, you'd probably pick the wood, and that's because, as I mentioned over there, wood is only 2 hits to get through. So woods are relatively weak material, and when you're basing up, I recommend that you find like a place to base up on. For example, if there's a lot of rock, you might want to find brick and then base up on the brick and then mine the rock back. Sometimes it's not possible and you find yourself, around a tree, so you go, alright, I'll build up in wood and I'll farm the tree. Trust me, guys, if you plan on staying in that location for a while, it's not really worth it to build it out of wood because you're gonna get focused. It's really easy to shoot straight through the wall of a wood like base. So I'd honestly recommend just like wasting a little brick. Like, it's okay. Spend a little mats to give yourself a little better protection. Like, for example, I'd much rather shoot at someone hiding behind that wall than I would at someone hiding behind this wall. You guys can just see how much longer that takes for me to break through, and don't even get me started on that metal wall, guys. So I recommend you guys find something to base up on. Obviously, if you can find like metal cars or like the EGO fences to do a metal base on, if that's in zone, obviously you can do break around like any rock, and I just wouldn't recommend wood overall. You guys are gonna see a common theme here where I say try not to use wood unless you absolutely have to. So right now we're looking at tarps. So let's say I'm just a kid who's like a couple layers above, maybe I'm trying to do my own tarp, and I see someone below me and I want to shoot at them. Just right off here, I know resolution isn't the greatest right now, but just off here, you'd much rather shoot and break through a wood tarp and kill an opponent as you're tunneling. And this is a reason why a lot of pros will be using harder, always say tunnel with hard mats in endgame. That's because you actually want to be using mats such as brick or metal. As you can see, you feel much better protected inside this than you would if you were inside this, right? And an opponent would have a much easier time shooting at someone doing this than they would at someone doing this. So, quick recap there, if you're tunneling in endgame, it is recommended that you use harder mats to discourage. Honestly, it's all about discouraging an opponent from shooting at you. If they really want to kill you, like when you first start building metal, it's pretty weak. They're going to shoot through it. But it's all about discouraging an opponent from attacking you and showing an opponent that, hey, I'm a smart player and you don't want to mess with me. Now for our final situation, guys, we're going to look at tarps. So, once again, same recurring theme. You want to be tarping with hard mats if that's possible. And honestly, guys, in the very final circles, you're going to see a lot of players using wood because that's all they have left. And that's okay because you've spent your hard-earned, harder materials already, which is a good thing. So, if I'm low ground here and I want to take height, I want to shoot at height. Obviously, I'd be shooting at that panel, but I'm just looking at this. I'd much rather shoot this out, right, than I would shooting this. And don't even get me started, once again, on this metal tarp. So, I guess the lesson of this video is that whenever possible, you want to use hard mats, because hard mats discourages an opponent from shooting at you, from attacking you, whether that's when you're basing up, when you're build fighting and you're trying to heal, or when you're just tarping on height. So, you want to use hard mats, but you also want to make sure that you have a good balance of mats, because you don't want to end up, running out of hard mats to use later. So you obviously want to balance out mats when you're tarping up, when you're going up like a tunnel or something. You might want to use wood if you're just following someone else's tarp and you want to reinforce it back. You might just put like a wood ramp behind you, things like that. So you want to balance out your usage of mats that you don't really want to have, like wood, and mats that you do want to have, like metal. So yeah, that's really it for this video. So quick recap: when you're build fighting someone, use mats that the opponent isn't using so you can replenish after. When you're basing, definitely use at least break. Never base up in wood. You're gonna get focused. Trust me on that one. It's happened to me plenty of times. When you're tarping, it's generally recommended, and pros will always tell you tarp with hard mats. Although in my experience, you can actually get away with tarping with wood because you're transitioning and you're moving quickly. But again, tarping with wood means that you're liable to getting focused. And when you're on height, just use whatever you have left. But once again, wood is also easier to shoot out. So I hope that kind of clears it up for a lot of you guys on when to use mats in what situation. Please let me know if I missed anything in this video. Yeah, that's going to be it for the video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to my channel on YouTube. And that's going to be all for today. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.